What's going on, everyone? We have officially made it. Tomorrow is Lakers basketball, and I could not be more excited. I could not be more thrilled. I'm sure all of you are pumped as well, and I'm excited to kind of just see what goes on with preseason here. Also, starting tomorrow, I will be bringing back the live streams. We'll be doing the watch-along live stream while the game is live here on the channel, and then the post-game stream. We'll talk about it, break it down, and all that stuff. So I hope to see all of you in both of those streams. It's a good time if you remember all the streams from last time. But this preseason should be a very exciting, fun, just energetic preseason for us, right? Look at just where we were a year ago compared to now, and it's really night and day, right? It's so much excitement, so much fun, so much freshness with this team. Like, this roster just feels different. The atmosphere, the environment, everything feels really good. And preseason is the time for experimentation, right? Don't expect a huge just showing of like LeBron and guys like that. We already got the news that LeBron James is not playing the first preseason game as expected, right? I even said that the other day before we even got the news that, like, hey, very likely our main core guys are not going to play a lot, if at all. And I still think we don't have word, at least at the time of recording this video, that Anthony Davis and guys like Austin Reeves, I wouldn't be surprised if they're out as well, right? But that's totally fine, right? Let's get a good look at the new players. Let's get a good look at the new talent, right? This preseason is about Darvin Ham trying to navigate this incredible roster and trying to figure out, what lineups work, what 5-man unit works, right? Like, you have a handful of games ahead of you before the regular season. Use that, right? Use the preseason to kind of just get a feel of, okay, these are the guys that are really standing out. Because we've got the training camp, we've gotten the talk and the conversation about Gabe Vincent, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, like guys like that have all like stood out. You have your standouts. And guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino, unfortunately, I don't see him playing much, if at all, this season. During preseason, I think we'll get some nice run with him. But the reality is he's probably not going to play a ton, if at all. But guys like Max Christie, how do they look? Because it's one thing to look good in training camp where, you're going, but you're not going, right? And even preseason, you're not going full 110%, but it's a little more competitive, a little more like real, right? Because you're actually playing actual games and you want to have a good preseason record. Preseason isn't the be all end all, right? We've had Lakers seasons where preseason was terrible and they won the championship. And we've had preseasons where they've won all the games or all but one game and won the NBA championship. So, preseason is a good gauge, but it's not the be all end all, right? We've seen plenty of teams go undefeated in preseason and end up not being very good in the regular season. But it's about seeing how do guys look. And it's more so for the team as a whole, right? To kind of get a glimpse of what's to come this season and how they can kind of work things out. But LeBron James being out, my guess, he wants to play reports. He has said that he wants to play at least like half of the preseason games. I don't know if he does that. He definitely plays, my guess. Again, this is just my guess. That everybody plays kind of the last preseason game because that's usually like the dress rehearsal before the actual season. But, it would make sense to maybe get at least 2 games under the starters' belts, right? So they're not just going from like chilling to all of a sudden, here you go. Now you're playing the defending champion Denver Nuggets that you want to really send a message to. And there's been a lot of back and forth talks and mostly on Denver's side. But, hey, like, now's a good opportunity to set the tone for the rest of the season. You don't want to have your guys kind of just sitting out chilling and then now you got to go from 0 to 100 real quick. But you don't have to worry about LeBron James, right? LeBron is the least worried player probably ever, right? He's going to he's taking care of his body. He's looking great. Everybody's talked about how incredible he looks. I mean, Darvin Ham said he looks like you're, 3 or 4 LeBron James, something like that, where he just looks young, he looks fresh. We don't know if he ended up having surgery or not this past offseason, but we do know that, according to him, he's getting back to the Dallas Maverick game in which he hurt his foot. And, he tore that tendon. And so, obviously, we need LeBron James for the regular season, and especially the playoffs. But the goal is to get him as healthy as possible come playoff time. The workload, and even he's talked about how he's open and is going to do, whatever is needed for this team. He's going to have to take somewhat of a step back, right? Even if he is, 100% and still capable of going and getting 30 plus a game, like, we don't need that necessarily from him, right? I do think his assist total goes up. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he leads the league in assists this year. Like, honestly, I mean, he was 38-8 last year. To think that he can't be, 25, 8 and 10 or something like that, or maybe get like 11 or 12 assists, it really wouldn't surprise me, because he doesn't need to focus on the offense. Like, last year, we needed LeBron to go get 30 a game just for us to be in the games competitively. And we still lost most of those games, right? I mean, how many times did LeBron go off for 30 plus and we lost? Right? Usually teams that LeBron's on, if LeBron goes and gets you 30, you win those games, at least more times than not. And it was just the opposite effect last year. So it'll be nice to see LeBron not have to overexert himself on a nightly basis just for this Lakers team to be competitive. But he has to be willing to sacrifice and take that step back. If this was 27-year-old LeBron James, one, I think give the Lakers the championship trophy now with this roster. But even if this was 27, then it'd be a little different story. He'd be the clear-cut number one guy, like, go get yours, right? Because it's, arguably the greatest player ever at that time at 27. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? But he's not that. He's going to be 39 in December. He's year 21, right? And we need him come playoff time. We need all of our core guys, right? Like, the Lakers have been very cautious with Austin Reeves because he's played a lot of basketball, right? He went all the way to the conference finals, right? So unless you were on Team USA and played for Boston, Miami, the Lakers, or the Nuggets, then you haven't played as much basketball as Austin Reeves. And guess what? No one did. So Austin Reeves has played a lot of basketball. And yes, he doesn't have the mileage. He does have the youth on his side and stuff. But still, you don't want to overexert him. He's going to be a huge factor for the Lakers this season. I think he's going to be one of the key pieces this year for the Lakers, if not the key piece, not named LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And so you're going to want to keep him as fresh as possible. I'm not saying he's not going to play at all in preseason, but just like we're very likely going to see with LeBron, and I do think Anthony Davis, either A, if they do play, it'll be very limited. Like, don't expect them to play more than like 10, 15 minutes, if that, right? Or they just sit out. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all tomorrow if we just get a look of, like, everybody but D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if those 4 guys basically sit, like, the first 2 preseason games. And also, you kind of want that, right? Because then you can really get a good look at all the other guys. Because Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis are the starting 4 of 5. There's a lot of talk about several others, right? Rui and Vando, Taurean Prince. Does Christian Wood end up getting the nod at the starting role? I do think Darvin Ham ends up kind of interchanging pieces based on matchups, but we'll see. Time will tell. I mean, you do want to have some continuity, right? You do want to have some consistent starting lineup, but whatever that turns out to be, which my guess is Jared Vanderbilt, but, whether it is him or it's Prince or it's Rui or it's whoever, then, you want you want to get a look with those guys and the other pieces because you know the four guys, you know how they look already. Yes, you want them to get repetition and, continue to grow on what they grew on. But that's what you have the last like 2 preseason games for. And then you have the entirety of the season, right? Let's get a heavy dose of these new guys. Let's go throw out, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, Torian Prince, Christian Wood, and Jackson Hayes. Well, let's have that be our starting 5 for the game against the Warriors. Because the Warriors are very likely not going to play their guys either. Like Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green's hurt right now. But those guys are probably not going to play. And if they do play, again, it's going to be very limited. Very limited. They're not going to play the entirety of the game, right? We saw the first game of the preseason with Minnesota and Dallas. And Kyrie and Luka played like 14, 15 minutes. Luka was ridiculous in that time, but nonetheless, they're not playing heavy minutes. Minnesota kind of played Gobert and Towns a bit, like they played over 20 plus minutes, but I think that's more so they're trying to get them to build chemistry because they barely played together last season, where the Lakers, like their starting unit is good, right? Like they have, what was it, 24 games or whatever, 23 games together. So they do have somewhat of a sample size, somewhat of a head start. But again, you want to continue to build and grow on that. But this first game or 2 of the preseason, give the main guys some rest. Let's build some chemistry with that backup unit, right? And let's get some looks with Rui Hachimura and the bench guys. Let's get some looks with Jared Vanderbilt and the bench guys. Let's get, a Max Christie and Cam Reddish some minutes. Let's go see what, Jalen Hood-Schifino, he's really stood out, right? Like, let's go see. What if he is that good that you end up having to find minutes for him or something, that's what it's about. So use this, capitalize on this, use this as an opportunity to really kind of, trial and error various lineups. Throw out some lineups that seem a little crazy. It's like we got Reddish, Prince, Hayes, Christie, and whoever, Jalen Hood-Schifino. Like, okay, let's see how this goes, right? So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Are you excited for Lakers basketball tomorrow? Again, we'll be doing those live streams. Look forward to those. I'm pumped. I'm excited for that. We'll do the watch-along stream, and then we'll do the post-game stream. So hope to see you all there. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments.